Ghana is in the tropics and it is abundantly blessed with natural resources that include high forests which hold much flora and fauna species. Our high forests are immense in value. First and foremost are the very rich soils which we cultivate extensively for both food and cash crops. The timber is logged and processed into value-added products. The lumber and other products are either exported or used locally. Roots, leaves, fruits and barks of trees also serve as herbal medicine which we make use of. Non-timber forest products also abound in great quantities: bushmeat, mushrooms, snails, and several others. Sacred forests, accorded traditional reference, provide avenues for culture, recreation, retreats, and healing. The Achimota Forest in the Greater Accra region and Kakum National Park in the Central region show to what extent value can be added to forests to generate income that benefit both local communities and the nation. Environment-wise, forests protect soils from erosion, regulate water cycles by storing excess rainwater and then gradually releasing it so that floods and droughts are avoided. A number of major urban centers derive water supplies from forested watersheds. A good example is the Owapi Wildlife Sanctuary near Kumasi. Here, the Ghana Water Company has collaborated with the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission to protect the 13-kilometer square wildlife sanctuary, which is also a watershed for the Owapi Dam that serves Kumasi, capital of the Ashanti region, with potable water.
Owapi Wildlife Sanctuary is serving as the single and only inland Ramsar site in the country. Even though it is found in the city, it has everything a natural forest will have. And so we encourage tourists and all people who are interested in conservation to have a feel by walking through a natural forest and how it feels like.
The Kintampo Waterfalls is another good example of the mutually beneficial forest-water relationship. Here, the public-private partnership in management has conserved the forest, which is the watershed of the Umpum River, which falls dramatically at Kintampo, attracting tourists to a magnificent sight.
Take its source about 10 kilometers from here, but the water flows throughout the year. It doesn't cease. Since its discovery, it has never dried before.
Forests again provide opportunities for education and research. A lot of genetic resources have been discovered through scientific research in forestry. Officially, the Forest Commission of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has been saddled with the responsibility of managing our forests and their resources for perpetuity. The Forestry Commission has policies, laws, plans and infrastructure in place towards sustainable management of our forest heritage. One of such laws is the gazetting of some high forests and other vegetation types into reserves and conservation parks that forbid adverse human interference since colonial years. The reality is that increasing human population has also led to overexploitation of forest resources for livelihoods. The rich soils of the high forests are cultivated to produce both food and cash crops. Unfortunately, wildfires and most methods of cultivation, such as slash and burn and shifting cultivation, tend to degrade our forests and lands. The demand for non-timber forest products is high, leading to overexploitation and depletion. logging by numerous inefficient timber firms mete out the most terrible blows to our forests. Today, timber extraction and agricultural activities have transcended off reserves to the reserved forest. Indeed, our forest sector is in crisis, to say the least. Some figures will help. Ghana had forest cover of about 8.2 million hectares at the beginning of the 20th century. This was reduced to less than 1.6 million hectares, that is 80% gone by the end of the 20th century. Even the remaining 1.6 million hectares is being degraded at an alarming rate of 65,000 hectares a year. The last 2 decades have seen a virtual onslaught on forests with dire consequences. Even the forest reserves are being planted.
The district has 2 forest reserves. That's in Pabiso Forest Reserve and then Pamu Brekum Forest Reserve. And Pabiso is well stocked. The problem is with the Pamu Brekum Forest Reserve. It's seriously degraded. And you know, that area lies more or less nearer to the transitional zone of the Brong Ahafo region. We are having problem with fire, which is the first most enemy. And then we have human activities, illegal farming going on there. And then we have people pilfering timber. You see, the whole reserve is surrounded by communities and there are admitted settlements also within the reserve. So you can see that the reserve is under pressure.
Pamu Brekum Forest Reserve, 189 square kilometers in size, was quite healthy by 1990. Within 10 years, it was totally degraded. The satellite images show the state of the reserve in the year 1990 and serious degradation in 2000. The yellow portions show areas of degradation, whilst the green portions show vegetation cover.
As at now, we are left with 2 forest reserves out of the 7. The rest have already taken over completely by the cocoa farmers. You have a forest reserve like Bodi Forest Reserve, the Atoya Forest Reserve. The Atoya is completely taken over by cocoa farms. We have markets, banks, hospital and everything in there now. We have Suku and then Manzan. They are all gone now.
We have 6 forest reserves under my jurisdiction. Atiwa Forest Reserve is intact. Dede Forest Reserve is devastated. It is purely grassland. So we are trying to reclaim the reserve by planting trees. The remaining areas are completely degraded.
Offenso a mensimu hano. No kre near wo reserves maku enkono. And that's all him ni nyina aye basa. Ebi free dey, ebi free sebe contractor for, ebi free dey, ebi free eja. Na the abeka ye chire kura any change hoyin.
The annual allowable cut for timber in Ghana is 2 million cubic meters, but the actual annual cut ranges from 3.3 to 4.4 million cubic meters. Overexploitation. The loss of forests is not only threatening Ghana's fragile economy, but livelihoods of millions of people are being lost.
Mahogany idea, man, and why you didn't papa if you say, Sabi, chains of for no so crown or more pie, some offense saying, Sessy, and also need ya.